parents, and teachers, we can create a supportive environment that promotes resilience, healthy communication, and strong connections. In this journey, we'll explore common teen challenges and offer practical strategies to help them build resilience, develop coping skills, and thrive through this critical phase of life. We at Sneha Society for Counselling are very happy to be associated with our speaker, Dr. Preeti Galagali. She is a trailblazer in the field of adolescent health in India. She is one of the first pediatricians to be formally trained in adolescent medicine and provides exclusive, comprehensive teen health services in the private sector. It's not possible to list out her outstanding academic achievements and awards here in a short time. She has held numerous prestigious national and international posts. Her remarkable community service is what sets her apart. She has impacted the education and training of healthcare providers, community workers, parents, teachers, and adolescents living in both rural and urban India. She has conducted over 2,500 online and offline community programs and has spread several health promoting messages through print, visual, and digital media. When we think of adolescent health, we think of Dr. Preeti. You may have many questions while listening to a presentation. Please post them in the chat box. We will try to address as many as the time permits. Welcome, Dr. Preeti, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Sanya, and also Lakshmi. And I must, at the outset, thank Krishna Galgali, who's a dear friend, and she reached out to me, and I had no hesitation in saying that it would be an honor and privilege to address all the attendees and also the counselors who are doing such noble work over 2 decades. So I salute your effort and kudos to you. And I think both of you, Sanya and Lakshmi, so beautifully put it across how important, what a major role your counseling services are actually playing in promoting health of the young and health of the nation per se. So thank you once again for inviting me. It's indeed an honor. Yes, so is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so this is really one of my favorite topics, navigating teen challenges and building resilience together. And I would underline the word together and put it in bold. That's so very important. Resilience is an armor against hardship and failure, as we all know. We're all familiar with the Cinderella story, aren't we? And what did this godmother fairy do? She gave Cinderella the resilience armor. And how we wish that all of us had such fairies existing. So, in an effort to tap the fairy within and the fairy outside, let's talk a bit about Abdul Kalam ji. We all know him well, but I don't know whether some of us know that he actually wanted to become an Air Force officer, right? So he went for his interview and he did not clear the interview. So in Dehradun, he was walking along the Ganges River thinking of committing suicide because he was so disheartened. His mother had given away all her savings to him for to appear in this interview. And just then, Puchari happened to just pass by and he saw this young man who was looking so distressed and agonized, and he took him in. He didn't ask him anything, right? And he offered him food and shelter for the night. And the next day, this young man at that time started crying, thanked the priest, and then told his story. All this time, remember, the priest didn't ask him anything, right? And he just was there for him. And then the story came out. And then the priest said, God has probably bigger things in store for you. Here, take this money, go back to your home, go back to your family, and continue to study and pursue science, which you love. And the rest is history. We all know him as the Rocket Man. So, wasn't this wonderful that this priest was really God sent at that time? And he saved and tapped into the resilience of Abdul Kalam. And back home, closer home, one day I had come back from the clinic and I got this call from a young lady who said, Doctor, I'm standing at the edge of my balcony and I'm going to jump. And my heart actually skipped a beat. And I asked her, what happened? She said, I came back from home today after the school. My mother saw me talking to the boy who stays next door. And she said, you are a prostitute. You always talk to boys. And doctor, if your mother calls you a prostitute, life is not worth living. I just was a little taken aback at that time, but I just asked her that if you had a 100 rupee note in your hand and if you crushed it, what would be the value of that note? She said 100. And she was a very smart, young 16-year-old. So then I asked her, if somebody calls you a prostitute, even if it's a mother and you know who you are, does it really make you one? She said, no. Should I go and talk to my mother? I said, of course. Where is she? She is in the bedroom. And all I wanted at that time was that she moves away from the balcony and goes to the bedroom. So she went to the bedroom, she gave the phone to her mother, and I just told the mother, spend this night with your daughter. And that was a night which changed them forever. And this young lady is a mother herself now and is a very, very successful chartered accountant. So again, resilience, when we are in so much of distress, can somebody help us? Can you be the helping hand there? So in the next few minutes, we'll just go through a bit of a theory. I know young people are also here, and we would also understand that why is it so important in adolescence to really build up resilience, and what are a few strategies. And I love this picture, and it really, epitomizes the spirit of adolescence, the spirit of friendship, the spirit of doing something extraordinary with a lot of zeal and enthusiasm. And we would all want the adolescents under our care to reach for the stars. Well, a little bit of theory, and we do understand this, that the adolescent has a biological system within. So, how is the physical health of the adolescent, which is important? Does he have anemia? Does he have a chronic medical disorder? Is he growing appropriately or not? So, is he physically healthy? We often talk of mental wellness as counselors, but I also think everything is intertwined. The mind body connect. So, there's a biological system which determines resilience. After all, if you are having anemia, you'll be feeling fatigued all the time. And if you have a stressor, you won't be able to think through that, because anemia can affect your cognition and understanding. Then we know the psychological system. How are we born with? What is our inner temperament? That's important. What are the way we have genetic coping with stress? Was there a history of severe depression in our family? Was there a history of suicide in the family? That would also determine our thinking and the way we cope with things. On the other hand, we may be endowed with an extremely strong psychological system thanks to our nurture and nature both. Right? So psychological systems are important. What about the social environment? If the social environment, if the community, like all of you are believe in the strength of adolescence and they're very encouraging and empowering, then of course the resilience is maximum in such a community. But in case the society looks down upon adolescents and says the generation of today is so bad, it's so...
Are you seeing?
Yes, then it would be a problem. What about the built environment? Built environment is also important. Do adolescents have places to really have physical activity? Because physical activity also determines resilience. How is their living condition? Are they living in a very overcrowded environment? That also plays a role. What about natural environment? Are there enough trees? Because is there less pollution? That also determines resilience and both mental and physical disorders. So all these this is a complex biopsychosocial ecological system that has great implications on physical, mental, social, spiritual, and even digital health, and thereby on resilience. So, what exactly is resilience? We've been talking about it such a lot. More classically, it is said the ability of an individual to function competently in the face of extreme adversity or stress. And it is how we perceive it. Somebody calls me a prostitute, I may not take it too serious and say, oh, forget it, that person is out of his mind. But look at the adolescent. Because of a highly reactive emotional center, the adolescent took it to heart, right? So adversity for one person may not be an adversity for another person. So we have to understand that, and we have to empathize with what that particular person is feeling at that time and validate his or her feelings. It is also sometimes said as the ability of bounce back and adapting to hardships and setbacks in life. You think about the bouncing ball. So the more you put it down, the higher it goes. So resilience is not only bouncing back, but doing better than before. So that is what is true resilience all about. Then they say, never give up, fall down 7 times and get up 8. And this is what is about individual resilience. But can the adolescent do it all alone? Not at all. So the latest definition of resilience is to navigate and negotiate for culturally meaningful personal and community resources in times of adversity to protect well-being and development. And as I said before, resilience is dynamic. I may feel very resilient at this point of time, but if I don't take care of my nutrition and I get anemic, I may not be so much resilience later. I don't have a mental disorder now, but later I might develop one. I don't live in a polluted atmosphere right now, but if I go staying very maybe close to majestic, I may feel really down at that time. So resilience is dynamic. And what are the 3 principles to really improve resilience? Very, very simple. One is to strengthen your core skills. That is physical, mental, psychological, spiritual, and digital. So we want to strengthen our core skills. The second is, I've been talking all along, have supportive relationships, supportive parents, supportive teachers, supportive community, supportive counselors, doctors. They play a big role. And of course, the third is very simple. Reduce the sources of stress. If the exam system is causing so much of stress in an adolescent, can we change the system? Can we have more adolescent-friendly health services available? Can we increase the taxes on junk food to reduce the stress of being attracted towards junk food? So all these things play a role to actually improve resilience. And needless to say that healthy development and educational achievement for children is very, very important. And for adults, responsive caregiving and economic stability. So all these have a role to play in nurturing resilience. Now, coming to adolescence per se, we know that this is one of the most rapid periods of growth next to infancy. We know about the biological, psychological, and social changes taking place. The body is changing. Suddenly, I'm developing fat in all areas of my body. Suddenly, I'm developing hair. Suddenly, I'm developing acne. I don't feel that I look as beautiful or as cute as I used to look when I was a child. And this can cause a lot of stress to the adolescent. So, because it is a moment of change here, it's a transitional period of life, this itself can cause stress. And it's important that the parents and other caregivers who are around the adolescents, including the teachers, are aware and are reassuring the adolescents. And also we know about the mood swings. Sometimes they are happy, they are very, very happy. They are sad, they are very, very sad. They have these bids for autonomy. They want to do things that they want to. They don't want to listen to other people. Yes, I feel like now watching the mobile. I don't feel like studying. So they have their bids of autonomy. Why do they have their bids? Because ultimately they do want to become independent responsible adults who can attain their potential. So this is an evolutionary step. We just have to ensure that they stay safe during this period. Then there's also a tug of war. The friends are they're pulling them to one side, and the parents are pulling them to another side. And parents feel, oh, they're moving away from us. Again, I would tell the parents that this is evolutionary, because after all, later they have to spend their life with their peers. We are probably going to die before them. So it's important to make the bond with their friends, but also to ensure how healthy their friendship is, and they make friends with people who do not land them into trouble. There's often an identity crisis in this period. Should I be like my parents? Should I be like by the auntie next door or the uncle next door? Or should I be like my friends? So to overcome this identity crisis is also like a kind of adversity for them. And here again, they need help. So, as we are familiar with what is happening with normatively in this period, we do understand that the adolescents need a helping hand. In fact, most of the adolescents do need. So there has been a lot of study done, including on Indian adolescents, that what really, causes stress in the adolescent. And they have said it's the person himself or herself. So like I said, if the person has a physical or a mental disorder, or if the person doesn't have good coping skills, then it is the family. The family can put a lot of pressure, and sometimes excessive, beyond what they're capable of achieving, especially scholastically or even in sports or even in other activities like music or dance. The family can be a stressor, or the family can be a stressor when there's marital disharmony. So I had this adolescent coming to me, and the parents said that she is angry all the time. So, as I always do, I had a session with the parents, and then I realized that there was a lot of disharmony between the parents. And in fact, the father had an alcohol use disorder, the mother had depression. So, I kind of gently referred them to an adult psychiatrist. And can you believe it? After their mental health issues were resolved, all was well with the child. So you can see that sometimes the family can be a source of stress. It's not only their expectation, but their health, which is important. What about friends? We know adolescents love friends, and I totally respect that. But sometimes, friends can be stressors as well. So I had this child coming to me who had cut his forearm. And I asked him what happened. He said, Doctor, I have no friends because I don't do well in studies. Everybody bullies me. But a new girl joined my class, and she said, if you want to be my friend, cut yourself. I dare you. So this is a child who was feeling so lonely, but just because he wanted a friend, he cut himself. So again, choosing the right kind of friends and not to fall into the negative peer pressure trap. And of course, positive peer pressure is great when they stimulate you to participate in sports and academic activities and bring out the best in you. What about school? School is a great place to be. It is such a source of learning, not only about academics, but also about social well-being. But sometimes school can also be a stress when there is excessive pressure put on by the teachers. And when they don't realize that probably the adolescent under their care has a learning disability or an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and they put excessive pressure. So that can be a stress. What about media? Yes, media is a great source of connection, and we know, and right now we are connecting through media itself. But sometimes media can be a stressor when we see all those, body morphed images, and we feel, oh, I should be as thin as this model, or I should have these six packs, and I'm unable to get it. And we do either extreme dieting or extreme protein intake, which is hazardous to health. And I already talked about the community. The community can be such a source of strength, the collective resilience, which really worked wonders during COVID. But at the same time, if community is biased, that can make the adolescent's life really miserable. So we want adolescents not to fall into maladaptive coping, which can lead them to unhealthy media use, excessive eating, risky driving, bullying, sexual violence, violence or violence per se or drugs or self-harm. Because if there are too many stressors and if the adolescent does not know about adequate resilience building strategies, though we would want them to be happy, healthy, achieving their potential, they can fall into these maladaptive traps. And that is what we want to avoid. We know that Corona had a whole impact on the mental well-being, and in fact after COVID we have been having much more cases of mental health issues. We have been having more obesity, more anxiety, more sleeplessness, more problematic interactive media use, also food insecurity, also child abuse. So all these problems have increased during this period. Why is adolescence so important? Because what we say is there is a phenomena of tracking. So which follows. So what does the WHO says? It says that 70% premature adult mortality and morbidity are due to behaviors and conditions that begin in adolescence. And what are these? Physical inactivity, poor stress management, alcohol use, unhealthy diet, and tobacco. And this can lead to the whole gamut of non-communicable diseases later, like heart disease, cancer, chronic lung disease. All these can occur later in adulthood, and they have their seeds in adolescence. Hence, it's very important that we deal with all this maladaptive behavior, which is usually because of stressors and a breakdown of resilience. They adopt these strategies, which they track into adulthood. And as counselors and as parents and teachers, we have to be aware that 50% of the mental disorders present before 14 years of age, and hence adolescence becomes a very important age group. But the most compelling evidence, which is for adolescence, is that this is an age of great opportunity because the brain is under construction. Here, neuronal connections are being made. The brain follows the principle of use it or lose it. So an adolescent who is taught healthy eating habits, healthy anger management strategies in this period continues to be a healthy adult because the brain is under construction. You can see in these functional MRI images, blue areas show maturity of the brain, and the brain actually fully matures only in the late 20s. So you see, this is like a wax period here, and we can easily mold the adolescent into following a healthy lifestyle. Having said that, we should also understand that as puberty sets in, there is emotional high which sets in because the emotional center is the first part of the brain to mature, and also with that reward center. So they are seeking rewards at this period. They want rewards in the form of appreciation from their parents, teachers, and friends. And they want rewards in the form of something sensational that could be maybe bungee jumping, maybe trekking, maybe exotic dance which they want to learn, maybe take part in vigorous sports. So we would want them to do all this, which are healthy reward seeking behavior, and stay away from drugs which also stimulate the reward center. Also stay away from excessive media use, which stimulates the reward center. And often in the adolescent period, parents often say, stop your co-curricular activities. But an adolescent who's not doing well in academics does not get that sense of achievement when the co-curricular activities are stopped, and hence falls prey to unhealthy habits. So it's very, very important that we understand the adolescent, keep the connection alive with them, and make sure that their need for really sensation-seeking behavior or healthy adventure is fulfilled. It is often said that the adolescent is in a car without brakes of emotional high, and the braking effect which comes from the front part of the brain, and as you can see, the prefrontal cortex only develops in the late 20s. So until then, the adolescent needs the help of a knowledgeable, trustworthy adult in their life to guide them through this sometimes very turbulent, but mostly a very exciting period of life in which their potential can be really harnessed and tapped. So coming to stress, what is stress and how does stress lead to a breakdown of resilience and how does that happen? So is all stress bad? Not at all. We say that a little bit of stress. We have seen sometimes, students when they are studying just one day before the exam, their concentration and focus is so good that what they have revised previously, what they took 2 hours to revise, they can revise in just half an hour. We also know about many of our sports person who go under stress, and stress is a challenge to our internal balance. So these sports person go for training every day and they're quite relaxed. Suddenly they have to appear in an Olympic competition, which is something different. That causes stress. But then they tap on what they have practiced over years and they tap on that and bring out their best performance. Similarly, there are students who have not studied before, and when they try to study at the last minute, they just crash. They get tummy ache, they get sweating, they get tremors. So it's all about preparation for stress, which is important because we can never be stress free, but we can learn how to manage stress to bring out the best in us. So that's why this is a U-shaped curve. It is only when there is too much of stress, when we are not prepared with our strategies, that we have a breakdown. But a little bit of stress actually helps us to perform better. Also, we must understand everybody is unique. Even though the adolescents are undergoing the same kind of biopsychosocial changes, we must all realize that, as I told you before, the complex environment that surrounds the adolescent is different. The adolescent's own coping skills are different. His own physical makeup is different. So is his psychological makeup. So is the support system in the form of family, health professionals, counselors, schools, teachers, and community different for all adolescents. But the point here is that we have to help them, as somebody said before, to overcome or to surf through these storms and make them stronger. So you remember the picture that I showed you initially, adolescent stressors. Now the research has also shown that in India, the number one resilience builder for the adolescent is family. And family is so very important. And that we know from centuries, India has actually always been a collectivistic society and not an individualistic one like the Westerners. So we have to go back to our roots. Friends are a great resilience builder. So is school and so is community. So this was a very, very big research which was done in India. And that is what adolescents themselves said, that these are the people who build up our resilience. So what do we follow in clinical practice? We want to actually increase the protective factors. We call it a strengths-based approach. We want the adolescent to have a warm, supportive parenting environment, should have good coping skills, should have a stable home and school environment, which is filled with positive experiences so that they can balance the adversities, which are so very, very important to build this. So when do we start building teen resilience? We start building teen resilience not in adolescence, not in the teenage, but much more earlier than that. When a small child is born and is nurtured by both the parents so that he blooms into a wonderful flower, is one when teen resilience is building up. And that's so very important. Unconditional love, hugs, smiles, laughter, joyful engagement. And what do I mean by unconditional love? I will love you only if you get 100% marks. And I will throw you out of the house if you get 99%. This is conditional love. So you got 99%. I love you. You are still my child. I believe that you have the potential for 100%. Let's see how we can do it. But even if you don't get, that doesn't mean that I won't love you. So that kind of messages have to be given right from the childhood. And that is actually building up teen resilience. Secure attachment, a mother figure or a caregiver figure always being there so that the adolescent feels safe and very secure. That is very, very important. And all the attachments are actually formed in the first 2 years of life. So it's so very important to have a figure who can take care. And now, as we said, nuclear families, it becomes a challenge, but we hope that whoever is there is a person who can adequately look after this young child who is ultimately going to develop into a secure adolescent with confidence that he can actually overcome challenges. But if he's insecure, he doesn't get the love and the security when this adolescent is small. As he grows older, he's very suspicious of the world and is always insecure and does not trust on his own abilities to cope with adversities. And of course, parents, please practice self-care, ensure marital harmony. As it is often said when we go on the plane, put on your own oxygen mask before helping those around you. So I wish that all parents take care of their both physical and mental well-being. Only then they can nurture adolescent resilience. So what is the methodology of resilience building for parents? So I would advise parents to use both the online and the offline system. The strategies should be interactive, inspirational, lively, enjoyable, fun, age and developmentally appropriate. Those with learning disabilities, those who have intellectual disability may require a little different strategy. So we should understand our child. That's very, very important. So invest time, bond, be available, role model. When you have a failure, how do you cope up with that? Do you get frustrated and break things, or do you just sit down, maybe have a cup of coffee and say, yes, today I failed in my meeting, but let me see what went wrong and how I can improve it. Always remember to be not only a coach for the children, but also a cheerleader. We often, tell them this is not the right thing which you did, but when they do right, we often forget to praise them and take their good behavior for granted. And please remember, the core of discipline is a behavior which is a good behavior if it is rewarded by just expression of appreciation is going to be repeated. Involve in household activities. Parents often tell me, I worked a lot, I don't want my children to do any household activities. I just want them to study. Because if you don't involve them in household activities, maybe even cooking, maybe even making salad and failing and telling how they can succeed. These are safe opportunities to allow them to fail, struggle, ask for help and succeed. Games and sports is another such avenue. Trekking, learning new skills, organizing family events and gatherings also help them to learn a lot. Please use the media to convey stories of resilience, how people overcome adversities and still come out really strong. Our Prime Minister Modi is such one example. He came from very low beginnings, but the way he has turned out to be one of the most powerful leaders in the world. Our religious and spiritual teachings, Bhagavad Gita, Panchatantra, teach us such a lot. And I think it's time to share this with the children. Role plays, puppet shows, dramas, stories like even songs like Punya Koti, Vanaka Obova, these are all stories of resilience and helping others, which also brings them empathy. So very important. Family, grandparents, people often say visit to an old age home. I would say first help your family at home, which is so very important. So all these are resilience building strategies. There are many types of parenting which we talk about, but let me tell you in brief, the best parenting now is expected is be a lighthouse parent. Allow them to make mistakes, allow them to fail, but be there when they cannot overcome adversities. And this is building the resilience muscle. Unless we allow them to fail, how will they learn how to get up? If they cannot make a drawing properly, let them sit and analyze what went wrong, what did they not do correctly. So those projects which they do the school gives them. Allow them to make mistakes. It's okay. You don't need to help them and you don't want to pamper and spoon feed them. Allow them to make some mistakes. Think where they went wrong. Even if they get a B plus once, should push them into getting an A plus the next time. You can see where they went wrong. And that is how you be a lighthouse parent, lighting what went wrong and helping them rather than always spoon feeding them. Now that we have talked about parenting a little bit, what is so important in resilience? Resilience is what matters most is how you see yourself. See this cat who thinks she's a lion. And as I said before, I told you that story about how a girl felt really bad because she's called a prostitute by her mother. So you have to see that what you see yourself as, and how do you build up this kind of, internal self-love. You can write positive affirmation cards every day. You can write this, I believe in myself. I can make a difference. You can think yourself as a strong tree and you can say, I'm not going to get broken or totally bent down, though I may shake a little bit when strong winds come. Why? Because I have strong roots in the form of my family. I have leaves, which are the other people who are around me who can help me. I have fruits, which are gifts given to me, like kindness and love. I have skills and interests like cooking, empathy, and I have branches, my hopes, dreams, and wishes. And this really is the narrative therapy tree of life. And when an adolescent is feeling very, very down, I often tell them to draw this. This builds up resilience. And, once a parent scolds or a teacher scolds, and we know of instances when adolescents have committed suicide just because a parent has scolded. Why? Because they felt that the parent did not love them at all. But having said that, let me tell you, suicide is complex and there is not just one reason. It is usually many factors which contribute. But why do the adolescents feel so bad? One is related to the brain. And second, when the parent has been good, they have forgotten about that. They are just on an emotional high. Their emotional system is high. If they have a happiness jars, when the parents have actually given them a lot of love and hugs, if they write them down. Today, my father hugged me because I helped my sister. Just write it down with the date and put it in the jar. And when you're feeling really down, you go and see, hey, this is just one time when my father scolded me. He actually loves me a lot. So this is an excellent way to actually develop self-love. We often talk about life skills and we say that life skills enhance the emotional quotient, the social quotient, the adversity quotient, and now also we talk about the environmental quotient. We all are familiar with the story of the thirsty crow and how the crow knew that it was thirsty. It didn't give up. It used its creative and critical thinking to think of multiple solutions and made the right decision and happily solved the problem. And if this crow had another flock of friend crows which were thirsty a little away, I'm sure this crow with empathy, with good interpersonal relations, with effective communication would have really saved the whole flock. So this is what life skills are all about. We have some very, very good examples. Aman, who was orphaned at 11, he became India's youngest Olympic medalist in boxing. He had the biggest adversity. He had lost his parents. His uncle was very poor, but he didn't give up. With the support of his uncle and the belief of his uncle in him, with all the choices that he made healthy choices. Avani Lekhara, she's a double gold medalist, the only woman Paralympic to have a double gold medal in the Paris Paralympics. She had a very bad traffic accident at the age of 11 where she lost her legs. But again, she didn't give up. This was extreme adversity. It was using all her life skills and her parental support, which really made her become so very famous. These are the stories which adolescents should relate to. And these are very, very current people. Now, let me come to a stress management toolbox. Of course, I would say as a doctor, regular health checkups are extremely important, at least once a year. Adolescents don't get cold and cough often, and we often do not see them. I would recommend all parents to at least get the adolescent once a year to us at the summer vacation, ensure that all vaccination is complete. It's not only about mental well-being, as I've been seeing, it's always about eating also, eating healthy, exercising for at least 1 hour every day, getting a sleep of 8 to 9 hours. All this build up resilience and health. Praying, excellent life skill. Meditation, yoga. Again, I would say go back to our roots. Make the adolescent enjoy this. Don't kind of superimpose on it, role model it, and tell the adolescent how happy you feel and offer the adolescent to try it out. And I'm sure the adolescents will love it. Allow them to pursue their hobbies, singing, dancing, music, wonderful. I'll ask them to manage time very well because time management is extremely important to reduce the stress. They should have enough time to study, to sleep, to do physical activity, to pursue their hobbies. All this can be managed. To spend time in nature, to have a balanced media diet, extremely important. To analyze every day how many hours are there in a day and how do they want to utilize it. Helping the family, so very important. Expressing gratitude itself is a very strong stress buster. And if they have a problem, they must talk. Talk to people who are understanding, talk to people who have mature brains so that they don't mislead them. So, very, very important. This is a stress management toolbox. And of course, use humor. Humor is an excellent stress buster. So, put up something. So you see your mother scolding your little sister to eat a carrot. And then do you know, how do you know? It's good for your eyes. Have you ever seen a rabbit wear spectacles? No, so it is really good for your eyes. So use humor for that. And stress doesn't really go with my outfit. So these are some things which you can talk to each other and put yourself in good humor because humor is a fantastic stress buster and a resilience building strategy. Coping skills when we have a problem. For example, now this child came to me and said that my father uses alcohol all the time and in under the effect of alcohol beats up my mother. I really don't know what to do. I feel so guilty because I'm not able to help my mother. Then I ask him, is your father's behavior under your control or under his control? He said, yes, it's out of my control. What is under your control? My ability to help my mother. So what can you do? But doctor, when I try to help my father also beats me up. Then your safety is so important. Can you take the help of your grandparents? Can you take the help of your neighbors? And then we go into analyzing the pros and cons of each solution. There is so much of environmental pollution. I get a bad cough, doctor. I get asthma. Now, the pollution, is it in your control, out of your control? Some things are under my control. I can be more environmental friendly. So do that. I can use more the bicycle rather than going on my father's scooter. So do things which are under your control. And what is under your control? Taking your inhalers in time. But can you really make an impact on the government policy? Not now. Maybe later when you become a government official. So it's very, very important to make the adolescent feel calm and make the adolescent understand. Journaling is also very, very good to write down every day. Think of the rose plants. What is the good things which happened today? The thorns are not the very good things which happened. And how can I cope with this? And the buds are my expectations for tomorrow. So these are some things which they can really write down. You all talked about the poster competition. And I think during COVID, I myself used art a lot with my patients to overcome their anxiety. So they used to send me these pictures on my phone when they were feeling really anxious. Mandala art, extremely good, a form of meditation. So these are pictures sent by my parents, by parents to me, what their children have drawn, and this really helped them to overcome their anxiety a lot. Then we talk about stresses which are perceived differently. Now, when there's an exam, when I have an exam, I feel like crying. But in case I think I have read everything well, an exam is a celebration of my learning. And I have to show to the teacher how well she has taught me. That can put a smile on my face. The moment I think exam is a pain, the thought that I get is, oh God, I get a lot of negative thought. I don't feel like taking up my book. But when I feel it's a celebration of learning, the thought is that I feel very positive, optimistic. I take up my book, I try to read better. So it's all about how you think about a thing. I come to the classroom, my friend does not talk to me. I get very negative feelings and I decide I'm going to break up my friendship. That is what I decide to do. And because I feel so really sad, I go and break up my friendship. But then I see my other friend going and asking, hey, you didn't wish me today. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was not well. I had fever. Both of you came into the class maybe, and I forgot to really say hi to you. So you see how your thoughts can make great changes in your behavior and in your social relationships. After what all I have taught and said, if this also doesn't work, and if suddenly we feel into a panic attack, maybe we want to give a talk, and suddenly we get a panic attack and saying, I'm going to just faint. There is an exam. And suddenly I get a panic attack and saying, oh God, I had failed and my parents are going to scold me. The teachers are going to scold me. I just feel like vomiting. I just feel like throwing up. So when we get a panic attack, it is very important for us not to go into the future, but get grounded into the present. So it's so very important to follow these strategies which keep us grounded and say, I do not worry about the results of my exam, but I worry about what I do the best now. So these are some techniques which can be easily taught to the adolescent. We call it, when you're feeling too panicky and you go into that future mode, you can practice 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Do this quickly within a few seconds. You get grounded and you focus on the task on hand. Do pranayama, square breathing exercise, which is actually followed by Navy SEALs of America. It's nothing but pranayama. Abdominal breathing is excellent to really cool you down. It's a quick relaxation technique. Now, the latest relaxation technique, which has been proved by research, is the sigh. You know, when we are very tensed up, we do like this, right? So what do you have to do here? You have to take an inhalation, a long inhalation through the nose, again take a short inhalation through the nose. So 2 inhalation and then exhale out. And this has been shown to prove by research that it cools down and brings your parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation system, into action. So when we have a panic attack, these are the techniques that we can use. Sometimes just clenching your fist tightly, closing your eyes and releasing it and saying, chill, cool down. These are very, very effective techniques in panic attack. Coming lastly to the digital media, we must always remember that whatever we post on the digital media is a digital footprint which can never ever be erased. And we have to be very careful with what we are posting. I often tell the adolescents to use the acronym THINK. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it legal? Is it kind? So please think before you post. Just don't post randomly. So I had this girl who was in a relationship with a boy, and the mother came to me one day and said, Doctor, I want to kill my daughter. I said, what happened? She said, she has shared her nude pictures with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is threatening to put it up on Facebook. And I am so ashamed of her. And we tried talking to the boy, and the boy said, no, I'm going to post it. She has broken up with me, and this is how I want to take her revenge. So we call it revenge porn. This is quite common. What did we do next? We had to call the cyber police. And the cyber police got into action and deleted the images from the phone. But still, are they really deleted? We don't know, because the digital footprint can never be erased. And actually, the mother wanted to kill the child wanted to commit suicide because she felt she had shamed her parents. It was in that emotional high. And when the boy forced her to say, kind of share these images, she shared it. So we really, really have to be very, very careful. And we have to be beware of the fake news, which can really, really put us in the wrong direction. So some people said the HPV vaccine, the human papilloma virus vaccine, which is such an effective vaccine against cancer, can actually cause infertility. This is a fake news. So please remember to confirm with the right kind of people when you hear such news. Sometimes there is cyberbullying. We know cyberbullying has actually resulted in suicide in some cases. What do? You need to, of course, block the person, but remember to not delete the message, save the message so that you can report it to your parents, to your teachers, to your counselors, and it could be reported to the cybercrime cell. So we can give a anonymous complaint even on the cybercrime website. We can call 1930 and the child line 1098, which can also be used for reporting sexual abuse. Relationships. I had this young man coming to me who was preparing for his IIT entrance exam. He could not study at all, focus. He could only sigh. And he had been to a pediatrician, he had been to a psychiatrist, he had been to a pulmonologist, he was an inhaler, but the whole day he used to keep sighing. So I asked him, was there any stressor or a trigger in the last couple of months? He said, I broke up with my girlfriend, whom I have been in love with since LKG. She left me for another boy. And then I empathized with him, validated his feelings, and I told him to write down all the things which are important to him in a healthy relationship. Okay, so he made this list and he said, oh, doctor, I'm so happy she kind of left me because she's neither honest. She was always lying to me. She was not supporting me. She was not respecting me. In fact, she was even physically abusive. So should not have had such a relationship. After we had talked with him, he went out of my clinic, he thanked me, and he came back and said, Doctor, I want to tell you something. The sighing has gone, but let me tell you, I'll never be able to forget her. I said, that's okay. Cherish the good moments with her. It's okay to cherish. And now this young man is happily married and he is a PhD in the States. So you can see, how they get into a breakdown kind of a situation. So how can parents really pick up signs of extreme mental distress when all these strategies are required? So if an adolescent has been doing fairly well in academics, suddenly has a drop, has been scoring, say, around 60 to 70%, suddenly starts failing. What is going wrong? Changing behavior for more than 2 weeks. So an adolescent who's always very happy-go-lucky suddenly starts shouting, screaming, breaking things, or suddenly starts crying too much. Something is going on. An adolescent who always loved his mobile says, I don't want the mobile, or who loved football says, I don't want to play football for more than 2 weeks. Something is going wrong. Persistent low mood for more than 2 weeks, loss of sleep, appetite, hygiene, doesn't want to take a bath, recurrent aches and pain, and doctor says there is no physical cause, use of drugs, violence, uncontrolled compulsive media use, suicidal ideation, thoughts, posts, Facebook posts, WhatsApp Facebook status, all this are signs of extreme mental distress, breakdown of resilience, and this adolescent needs help. How can we adolescents themselves or parents themselves actually listen to the adolescent, be calm, discuss with them coping and problem solving skills. And if they have not confided in parents, the other friends can help them to confide in parents and seek professional help. And if in case there is suicidal attempt, ensure that the person is not left alone. It's extremely, extremely important. Sometimes adolescents don't tell other people, they just tell their friends, and the friends could follow these strategies to help them. Of course, there are some tele-counseling numbers which are available. Sneha has one of those, and Sneha has already shared with you these numbers. These are some national tele-counseling numbers which are there. I already talked about 1098 and 1930. Now, 1098 is going to be replaced by 112, and we are going to have one emergency number. There's also the Tele-Manas helpline, which means being run by NIMHANS, excellent helpline. And we also have a digital detox helpline, which is being being run by Nimhans again. So these are good numbers to have handy, because if as adolescents you don't feel like confiding in anybody and you feel that you need help, it's a good idea to talk to these helplines, talk to Sneha counselors on the phone at least, to seek help. So to sum it all up, how do we build up resilience? We build up resilience by building competence, confidence, connection. That's so very important. Character, contribution, coping, and to have control over our emotions, our behavior. This is a new definition of adolescent well-being, which again emphasizes that it is very important that adolescents should have support, confidence, and resources to thrive in context of secure and healthy relationship, realizing their full potential and rights. They should have good health. They should have connectedness. They should have a safe and supportive environment. They should have a fantastic learning environment and building up agency and resilience. These are two fine books which are available. The WHO book is free and it's available online. It is an excellent book. The other book is written by an authority, a world authority on childhood resilience. That's not free, but it's actually an excellent book. And those of you who are interested, Dr. Ginsburg has written this fantastic book for building resilience in children and teens. So building resilience in adolescence is so very critical and crucial. Teamwork is essential. We have been saying this again and again. It's all a teamwork between adolescents, parents, teachers, healthcare providers, counselors, community, the laws, and the government. We have to strengthen core skills, which is we have been talking about, decrease stressors as much as we can from our side. But remember, there's no escaping stress. Stress will always be there. We have to learn how to manage it. Increase the psychosocial support. And of course, building resilience ensures adolescent well-being, their survival, their thriving capacity. As I end, I express my heartfelt gratitude to my teacher, Dr. Hemant Bhargav, who is a professor of yoga at Nimhans. During COVID, he really built up my resilience by pushing me into attending yoga sessions every day, which I still attend till date, and it has been immensely helpful. Not only that, he has actually, on my request, made 2 videos for 5 to 10-year-old children and 10 to 15-year-old children, where children can use these yoga videos to build up their resilience. So extremely, extremely thankful, and also thankful to Professor Ginsburg. I've been telling you about his book. He's also my teacher, and Zhang Wo, who's taught me mindfulness meditation. So these are some people who have really been with me in my journey of building up resilience and also helping other adolescents under my care. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with all of you.
Thank you very much for the excellent talk, Doctor. We have a few questions. Can we start having questions now?
Sure, sure.
Yes. There was a question by Miss Vandana asking a teen girl who is whining and gets angry while studying, especially for the first few minutes. What could be done with this case, Doctor?
Okay, so just knowing this much may not be enough. So what is that which is making her whine and, not want to study? Is it that she finds it really difficult, the portion? Is it a new behavior, or has it been right from the beginning? Has she been having academic difficulties when she was even small? Or is it the portion is too much for her to handle? Is she sleeping enough? Is she eating healthy? So all these things have to be actually, asked. And what is her motivation? So, I'll just take a little bit of tangent here. I had this young man coming to me who was not wanting to study at all. And he told me, why should I study? I'm going to become a pujari like my father. I'm going to handle this temple, the family temple. Why are you asking me to study? Do 10th standard, do 11, do 12. Why? I don't like studying, doctor. I don't want to study, So he had no motivation to study at all. So I took him aside and I said, I'm happy that you want to, become and you want to go into your father's footsteps. Is that what you have decided for sure? He said, yeah, not only that, I have one of my uncles who is in US and I actually want to become a pujari in a US temple because he's having a very good life there. So I said, excellent. For that, you need to actually be good in English because I know you're very good in Kannada, you're very good in Hindi, but when you go to US, how are you going to communicate with them? And all the money that you're going to earn, you're going to invest it right in the bank. You should know simple things, how to calculate the interest. Right. So unless you do that, how are you going to really, go forward? You'll be just stuck and somebody could cheat. Some of these two things touched him. He went on to finish his 10th, 11th, and 12th. And yes, he's a pujari right now in the US. And he often comes, whenever he comes to India, he comes and tells me with his son, and he says, how you made a fool of me, doctor, and pushed me into studying by your stories. I said, those make sense to you at that time, didn't they? And it is good that you can speak English now and nobody's cheating you. Is anybody cheating you, right? So, how it is. So we had to come to the motivation. What really motivates the adolescent to study and how can we motivate the adolescent? So one-on-one talk with the adolescent will be really, really helpful at this point of time.
Thank you, Doctor. There was another question asking how to help children who are romantically involved or in a turmoil, adolescents.
Okay, so I think, the most important thing is to first, we should acknowledge and also adolescent should be kind of in the sense that such, feelings are normal at this age. That's extremely very, very important. And that acceptance should be there by both the parent and the adolescent, right? Then we should make them think a little bit critically. Okay, we talk to them about, I just give the example of a pen. I say, this is my favorite pen. And should I give it to you? To whom should I give this pen? This is my favorite pen, right? So then they'll say, you'll give this pen to only a person whom you trust, whom you know will return the pen to you. I said, exactly. So when we talk about our personal space, our personal boundaries, we allow only those people to come in whom we trust. It's not written on anybody's face that he's trustworthy or, he or she is like I told about that case. So knowing very well that how does a healthy relationship look like and how does an unhealthy relationship look like is the first step. Why are we telling them this? Not that we want them to get romantically inclined now. Remember, what we are trying to tell them is that how to choose the right kind of relationships even later in life. Okay, so that is the first step. It's not only for romantic relationships, it's also for other relationships and other friendships. The same thing holds good there as well. Then the third step is that how does this relationship fit into your goal of life, right? So again, I'll take a little tangent here and tell you another story. I came one day and one of my patients rang me up and said, oh, doctor, I'm really scared. One of my friends came to me in the bus. She came to me and said, please be my boyfriend. Otherwise, if you don't be my boyfriend, I will commit suicide. So I also got a little scared. I said, what did you say? So he was my patient since he was a young boy, and we had been talking about life skills and how to make and break a relationship. So he said, doctor, I told her exactly what you had said. You are a very special girl and you can have plenty of friends. The problem is not with you. It is with me. I want to get into the best medical college at this point of time. And I really don't have the time to pursue a relationship. I'm so sorry. But remember, it has got nothing to do with you. You are a good friend, and I hope that you'll continue to be one. I said, that was a wonderful statement to give. I could have said it better than what you did. He said, but I'm scared, doctor. She might commit suicide. I said, I think you did it very well. And talk to me tomorrow again, I said. And he called me the next day and he said, I met her in the bus again. She made one dirty face, but she's alive. So, if the adolescent can say this, how does this relationship fit into my goal of life? It's important. Do I have the emotional stability the financial stability to deal with this relationship right now. I often tell them about the brain. I tell them that your prefrontal cortex, your personality is not yet complete. A person who looks like a hero or a heroine today may turn out to be a villain or a vamp later. So wait till it's 24 years at least for the personality to really develop. The third thing is, how does it fit into my family values? What will my parents say? Of course, we live in a society, will I be able to kind of, convince my parents that this is a relationship which is healthy, which will be a long-term relationship, which I, intend to wait and carry on? Will I be able to do that or not? The last important thing is, will I be able to handle a breakup? Because knowing how emotional, she may like me today, she may not like me tomorrow. Yeah. Will I be able to? So knowing with all this, you will go forward. If at all you go forward, then the next question is, how will you handle your intimate relationship? To what extent? What will be your boundaries? How will you express intimacy? Will it be only by saying healthy romantic messages on WhatsApp, Facebook? Or will you like to go more physically intimate? And if you would like to do that, what can be the consequences? The health consequences, the social consequences, the economic consequences, and the legal consequences. And then I bring up the talk of POXO, because under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, any physical intimacy in a child less than 18 years, even if it is with consent, is actually a crime. Okay, so they should be aware. And how the law works right now, though it's supposed to be gender neutral, it is heavily against the boys. The girl is sent back home, but the boy is put into the remand home, and there's a black mark for life. So they have to be aware about what is happening. So you go from there and you tell them, and then probably you have to take a foot peg, and they say, I want to be physically intimate. Take them to a doctor who tell them something about contraceptive. They may or may not tell you, but it's a good idea to go there, and the doctor will again reinforce this. At least if you have done this much, I think, and having said that, also let me tell you, though there's a lot of breakup in relationships, but we know there are many adolescent relationships which have ended into happy marriages later. Right. So idea is not to, shun sexuality or shun sexual behavior. It is to make it more healthy sexual behavior. That is what we need to nurture. And which is more, we often say safe, happy, healthy relationships. That is what and respectful relationships is what we are trying to guide them into. So this is a very, very brief thing of a very, very long talk, which we usually take.
Yes. Doctor, how do we talk to a child who says, I'm not in this for a relationship. I'm just looking to get physical. That's it. I want to experiment.
Yes. So, here you can just catch the bull by the horns. You have to kind of tell them what are the pros and cons of a physical relationship, right? Yes. So again, maybe taking the help of a doctor would be great. So who will tell them right from getting pregnant to abortion to sexually transmitted infections to AIDS to infertility later, right? Let them just know to what can happen. Who will tell about the POXO? So the thing what we say is knowledge is power. Let them make informed choices, right? That is so we understand your need of a physical relationship. We understand your need for the sexual relationship, but also there are other ways of expressing your sexual urges that could be in this. It sounds a little more, kind of maybe I'll say open, but masturbation is one of the safest sexual behaviors. So I think we as counselors should not hesitate to talk about it, right? Because they do have their urges, right? So this could be one of the ways to deal with it.
So normalizing it is one way of helping.
Absolutely. You have to, because see, ultimately we want them to develop healthy, say, other the world will come to a stop. No, isn't it? We won't have any children. And we want children to be brought up in a very nurturing, stable environment. And that's what we are looking for. But at the
Sure.
same time, we do understand that they have their urges, they have their tendencies, but whatever they want to do, let them make an informed choice and as safe as possible. If at all they want to get physically intimate, let them use contraception. Let them be aware that then she can get pregnant and what can happen then. So let them be aware of about that.
What is the ideal age to talk to them about this, doctor?
So again, that's a very good question. So when we talk about sexuality, it's not only about the sexual act. It has got much to do. It is about the body image. It's about gender. It's about values, beliefs. It is about interpersonal relationships, right? So when do we start talking? We actually start talking, if I'm saying just talking about personal protection and sexuality, I would say start talking to them at the age of around 1 year, 3 months, by telling them their body parts. Okay. So whatever, buttock is a buttock, right? The chest is chest. We often tell them about hand, face, ear, huh? So penis is penis, vagina is vagina. You may use your local, whatever terms you use. So it starts from there. It starts from there. It also tells them that to take care of your body is important. Hygiene is important. We brush our teeth. We have a bath. We close the door when having a bath, right? A personal space boundaries are important. If somebody does make touch you in a way or show you pictures or make you do things which make you feel uncomfortable, I'm here for you. So we started right from the preschool. So as I said, it has to be age appropriate. And when the development of breasts start, which usually nowadays start between 9 to 11 years, usually menstruation starts 2 to 3 years. After that, that's the time to start talking to them about menstruation. And equally at the same, around the 10 years of age, boys start getting what we say wet dreams. They will start soiling their sheets at night. And that's the time again to talk to them about healthy sexual behavior, how to build relationship. Why are these wet dreams happening? What is masturbation? Right? So it has to be very age appropriate, developmentally appropriate, and we go along as they grow older with the aim of having happy, safe, healthy sexual relationships.
Thank you, doctor. The next question is, my son spends a lot of time online playing games. He is not watching anything wrong. He says he wants to be a gamer. I'm okay with that, but excess screen time is a concern at the cost of basic studies. What can I do?
Totally agree. Totally agree with what you're saying. But, sometimes just sit with him and see what is the kind of kick that he's getting out of the games. Is it that sense of achievement? Is that sense of validation? So there is something which is missing in the real life, which is pushing him towards the virtual world. And can you gradually replace that sense of achievement? Probably, so if he likes a point, maybe put him in badminton and say, hey, why don't you just try this for half an hour? Let's play badminton together. Right? So he may not even, agree to go for badminton coaching, but he may agree to play badminton and get that thrill of winning a point by playing badminton and physical exercise. So again, each child is different. I had this child who agreed to give me the mobile before his 10th standard exam. He agreed that he's spending a lot of time on the mobile and he's not able to study. While he was giving the mobile, his mother was still right there with me. And he said, I'll give the mobile to you, doctor, and you give the mobile to my mom. He wanted to do that kind of a process. I said, fine. And he gave the mobile to me and he said, doctor, do you know, when I'm giving the mobile to you, I'm giving away my only source of happiness. I had talked to him for 2-3 sessions. He had not told me that his parents were fighting the whole time when he was at home and he was feeling miserable because of that. To shut off their sound, he used to go to the mobile. And that was where he was finding his peace or happiness. So, how it can be. So usually when people say, my child is always on the mobile, I would like to really find out what is it which is driving him towards the mobile. So I think, again, building that connect, talking to the child, gradually, when we talk about drugs, we talk about slow weaning away. One of the methods. Another method is cold turkey, when you totally stop and you try to deal with whatever withdrawal symptoms you're getting. But sometimes we use slow withdrawal, making them go into other activities would probably be the key. Spending more time talking to them would be the key to keep them away.
Yes, that pretty much answers the other question, which was about what to do if my child is addicted to the phone. There is another question, doctor, asking how do how do we who talk what do we do about a teenager who enjoys making nude videos and circulating it? She enjoys the reaction she's getting from the boys.
Okay, so again, this needs a little bit of deeper analysis. Um, so I would definitely like to know whether she was. I had a similar case, and when we went deeper into it, this girl was actually sexually abused. So, in fact, she was hating her body and she was seeking validation by posting nude videos and getting the reactions which she was getting from those nude videos. So again, building the connect, finding out what is the story of the child would be very, very important. Sometimes OCD, they get obsessed with certain nudeness and they keep, seeing that stuff. It may not be now that they are having any sexually related problem. It's just OCD which manifests as sexual thoughts, obsessive compulsive disorder. So again, like I said, what purpose are those videos serving for her will be the thing to find out and then help her through that. And telling her about, of course, appropriate, inappropriate, the law, because the law is very clear. You can watch pornography in your house, but the moment you transmit pornography, it is breaking the law. And this is cuts across all age groups, not only one. But again, I will not be too much going into the punishment mode. I would like to find out what is happening because the ultimate idea is to help the child, not to punish the child.
Yes. So a deeper understanding of and a lot more deeper connection with the child is advised.
Absolutely.
How do we deal with children who are going through cyberbullying, or there are these groups which the children are chatting on, harassing another child? How do we build in resilience towards this?
Yes, so I also had a similar case. So there was one child who always used to come with a mask, always with a mask. COVID is done. I'm like, why is she wearing a mask all the time? Yeah, she said, I feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable. And she had some anxiety issues. So I was helping her out to her study anxiety, study skills and all that. Then after 5 sessions, she said, I want to tell you something, doctor. I said, yeah, go ahead. So she said, I'm on this site with my friends and they pass very adverse comments about my body. And I hate myself. I don't want to look at myself. And that's why I wear this mask all the time. So she said, I'd like you to see for the first time, I saw such a cyberbullying site. And I was astonished by the language which the young people were using. And I was astonished by the words that they were using to put each other down. Right? And they were commenting right from the shape of her eyebrows to her nose, to her eyes, to her lips. God, I mean, I was just wondering whether they have a microscope to look into all these details. That was just pushing her under the brink. Now, the question is, why is she still on the site when there's so many adverse comments? It is because everybody is on the site. Fear of missing out. It's superior to. Yeah. Yeah. So she said, see, look at this, doctor. I have not posted a single adverse comment against anybody. But see the number of people who are talking. So again, it comes to what matters most is how you see yourself. So we talk about a concept called now body neutrality. We don't even talk about body positivity. We talk about a concept of body neutrality. Appreciate your body for what it does. I can see, I can smell, I can taste, and I want to keep all this healthy, right? Want to keep my hands functioning, right? And that is what I ultimately aim for. I'm thankful to God for giving me all this because there's so many people who don't have such stuff. So valuing, otherwise she was doing actually a good student, but because of this bullying, she had actually gone down. So my next step to her was, have you reported this? Because this, as I said before, this is a crime. Though now the new law which has come actually has punishment for cyberbullying. Previously, we didn't have punishment, and that is why we are now insisting that you please report all this. So my first step was, have you shared this with your mother? No, she had not shared it. Then I tried to convince her to tell her that, how important it was to share with her mother, because then her mother could help her in reporting this to the school. But she was scared that her, friends would get they will be put down and she will be left out of the group. Then I asked her, are there any other friends who don't like this? So she did have a group of friends. So I said, again, there is strength in numbers. When you get together, go talk to the school principal. And she did. And she did all the time. And I said, you be frank. And you tell the school principal, I would not like my name to be in the open. I would not like other people to know. So they were a group of, out of these 20 girls, they were this group of 5 girls who went with their parents to the school, and then they called the other 15 very, very confidentiality, with a lot of confidentiality. The school counselor talked to them, and then the website, they all exited from the website. But this took me nearly 1.5 years to get all this done. So it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And they want to be on it, not that, they like what's going on. They'll want to be in it because they're a part of the peer group, telling them about their body, their other stuff, their other strengths is so very important, and trying to stay away from such a group. Not only stay away, but making sure that their other friends also don't get affected. So this may not, I don't know whether it'll help you fully, but this is one of the ways that we may consider helping the child.
Doctor, you mentioned that it is a crime and punishment is there for cyberbullying.
Yes.
Is it irrespective of all ages? Suppose a classmate is bullying. Is the classmate?
Yes. So, then it comes under the, we have the Juvenile Justice Act, JJ Act. Yeah. Yeah. So we have the JJ Act there. So it's not that they'll be put in jail, right? It's again, more of counseling, more in a childcare institution, more in a remand home kind of a scenario.
Okay, but punishment
Because,
says
less than 18
irrespective
cannot
of-
be put in. Yeah, but having said that, you must also remember that there is a criminal law amendment now. So what they're saying is, if a crime has been committed by a 16-year-old, like, something like a gang rape, right? So this 16-year-old can be tried like an adult. So 16 year is what they have, kept. But if you see the brain, as I was telling you, the brain only matures in the late 24. So the child rights activists are not happy with this at all. But what the legal people are saying is, no, there's too much of crime. If they're not, agreeing to, kind of make their behavior better, this is what we are going to do. So we should be very, very aware, above 16, any crime done, to be really, 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 really very, very careful, because you can be tried as an adult.
On a less extreme note, doctor, body shaming is a big issue in students and adolescents. When, as an adult, when we look at the child is not fat, not obese as they feel they are. But the impact of the friends having an opinion about me is so strong that I am not eating. I am so bent upon not eating, cutting down my weight at the cost of compromising my health. The parents are very supportive. The parents are trying to educate the child very well. But the child is refusing to look at what the parents are offering. How do we help?
So that's actually, you're talking to me about an eating disorder, which we call, like, we call about anorexia nervosa and bulimia. Now, these are, I'll tell you very frankly, these are very, very difficult mental disorders to really treat and manage. Very, very difficult. The best thing which we can do is, if we can catch them early, when they're developing these body image issues. But having said that, we always talk about a biopsychosocial, because there may be a genetic predisposition, which, sometimes that may be much more stronger than what we are doing. But again, that's out of our control. So we do not worry too much about that. And we think about what is in our control. So what I do in my practice is to ask one simple question to all adolescents who come to me on an annual health checkup of this thing. How do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? That is one of my favorite questions. It takes just about a minute or so. to answer. Oh, I feel terrible. This. It goes on. So if we can catch them early and we can reassure them, it may be a pimple, which everybody will say, oh, pimples are so common. They always happen. It may be even start from that. Or spectacles. I don't like spectacles. Okay. You don't like spectacles, you can definitely go for contacts provided you take care of the hygiene, right? And if you are developmentally abled, there's no reason why you can't take care of. So, giving them that little bit of help through their body image issues actually goes a wrong way. And all the time emphasizing. So I have these charts also with me, the height, weight, and the body mass index charts. And I actually encourage them to look and, plot it themselves to say where they are every age wise. So we have these very good charts that are available free to download in the Indian Academy of Pediatrics website. I feel all counselors should also have such charts because once you plot them, height, weight, and body mass index, you know how healthy they are growing. And once they are convinced that, it is healthy, right from 10 years on, you're saying, hey, you're doing great. You're taking good care of yourself. So when they become 14 and 15, when there's a lot of media, and peer pressure, they will not get so much wayward. I've seen that happening in clinical practice. So the children who I've been seeing from the beginning, they have been kind of okay with that. Even though my friend said, okay, after some time, they feel okay about it. At the same time, always telling them, yeah, you're great, doing great in your music. So it's not that this person is giving all India shows or something like that, but just pursuing music. Yeah, I want to listen to what you have learned. So sometimes they send me their video clips, even as a doctor, I like to listen to them live. So these small things make them love themselves beyond their body. And also saying, hey, what did you do to help your mom? Hey, mom, I helped my mom today and there was such a big smile on her face. Oh, that's wonderful. So those small things, those other qualities which have to be nurtured as they grow. And we should also look at ourselves. Their parents are so much concerned about their own body image. They have so many body image issues themselves.
Yeah.
And they rub it onto the child. So we have to be guarding ourselves about that also, always nurturing their self-esteem, nurturing their other qualities, including the qualities of kindness, gratitude, honesty. All these have to. And bodies, yes, very important. We must take care of our body. We must take care of our hygiene. We should ensure health. But yes, if it gets into an eating disorder, then it needs a multidisciplinary approach. It needs an adolescent health professional, it needs a psychiatrist, it needs a psychologist, it needs a nutritionist, it needs even intensive care because sometimes the heart rate drops, they go into shock. It's even life-threatening, right? So yes, it needs a lot of care. It's a tough case. It's a tough case.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we seem to have covered all the questions would anybody want to ask any question?
Doctor, this is Lakshmi here. There are some viewers who want to know how to connect with you.
Okay. So let me give my email ID to you. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just put it in the
chat box.
Chat box. Yeah. Oh, somebody also asked me whether, I do any online foreign consult. Actually, the National Medical Council does not permit us to do any teleconsult to another country. So we do not do any teleconsult to other countries. And also, I must also say that teleconsult is only for an emergency purpose because nothing can replace the physical touch and the physical contact. I firmly believe in that. I may do sometimes teleconsult as a follow-up, but I would prefer to kind of do a physical. Yeah, so I just put my email ID.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. I would like to invite Vidya to give the vote of thanks now.
Thank you, Reshma. Good afternoon, everyone. As we come to the close of this enlightening webinar on navigating teen challenges, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Preeti Galagali. Doctor, we thank you immensely for sharing your expertise, experiences, and insights on addressing the complex challenges faced by teenagers. Your presentations were very informative, engaging, and thought-provoking, and we sincerely appreciate the time you have readily spent for us. This webinar has provided us with a deeper understanding of the topic, valuable takeaways, and practical strategies. Dear children, parents, caregivers, and educators, we hope that the insights, advice, and support shared during this webinar will empower all of us to achieve our goals. Let us continue to work together to create a nurturing and supportive environment that allows our children to thrive. To all our participants, we thank you for your active engagement and participation throughout this webinar. Once again, we would like to thank all the students for taking part in the poster and essay event with enthusiasm. We would also like to thank the school management and the teachers for encouraging their students to be a part of this event. All your entries, I repeat, all your entries will be uploaded on our website, snehacounselling.org within a week. We will be sending the participation certificates to your respective schools within a week. The student event and today's webinar would not have been possible but for the timely efforts and contributions of some people. A special thanks to Shweta, Vidya's daughter, for making the poster for the student event, Shobana and her son for sharing their personal Zoom account for today's webinar, and Gelatix Technologies for their timely support to fix some technical issues and helping us with our website. Dear volunteers at Sneha Society for Counselling, we thank you for your tireless efforts in planning, coordinating, and executing this webinar. Thank you all once again and have a great day.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful being with all of you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye-bye. Have a wonderful Sunday. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Absolutely stunning.
Amazing session.
What